over here. And then we'll do like this. And we'll go like this. Douglas Reed in the house. Yeah. Man, first of all, thank you so much for the treat.
Hey, my pleasure.
My wife and I were thinking, I wonder if he's going to bring some coffee. So, it goes without saying, we're absolutely addicted to your product and what you've got going on. But for those that don't know, we'll take from the top. This gentleman, Douglas Reed, one of the founders and owners of Yes Coffee and in Flagler Beach. And you are here today to share your story and where you've come from, how you've gotten here. And I'm honored that you're here, man. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Really excited to be on the show. Yes Coffee. Yep, Yes Coffee Co. We just opened up. Tomorrow will be 4 weeks. So
just getting going.
Yeah, just getting going. But yeah, I know you guys enjoy the product. It's really, really, really good. So
it's beyond good. I'm sure I was going to ask you this too. All of this is unpremeditated, but are you feeling the love right now as far as like in the community? Because from what I see from a social media perspective, you guys are being loved on, like inundated. You know what I mean? I'm just using the word love as far as you feel like it's, and excluding because I don't get involved in people's fiscals and like, how's the money? But are you feeling, because it seems from what I'm seeing online and from my immediate, crew folk that I'm with, they're loving on you guys. Are you
Oh yeah, no, definitely feeling the love from Flagler. Thanks guys so much. Everyone who's come out so far has been super supportive. They're telling us how much they really love it, how excited they are to have, a good coffee shop in town. And so we're still in our soft opening phase. Okay. So we'll have a grand opening, ribbon cutting soon, probably the next 4 to 6 weeks, I imagine.
Okay.
So that being said, it's like we haven't done any advertising at all. We've been active on our social media. Shout out to Rachel McDermott. That's Mike's wife. She's been crushing it. She's brilliant. But so outside of social media, we haven't been aggressive in just letting the town know that we're here.
Right. We
just wanted people to come in and have that experience and let it kind of grow organically, like word of mouth.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, it's happening.
Yeah.
And on the tip of Rachel, right? Michael's wife.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about women in Instagram, isn't it? Like I was talking to her about that. You can line up like a dude's Instagram page and a chick's Instagram page. And I don't know if it's like there's this filter we're not aware of, or just they have this look and feel. But even the photo she posted, I think it was yesterday or even today, of the girl in a candid shot drinking like I could have done the same thing and it just wouldn't have there's a touch she's got, man.
More than once I've been scolded for using the wrong filter. Ooh. And so, but I agree with you. They have an eye for it that I do not. And I feel like I'm a pretty creative person. And so, but yeah, she's next level for sure.
Speaking of which, so about Douglas Reed. So I went today, I always take a photo from someone's like Facebook page and I use it as like the marketing piece for today.
Yes.
I was going to use the camel one and my wife saw it. She's like, don't use that, which I thought was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I like it.
Because it's got a lot to probably do with, I thought it was rather intriguing because it's a story in itself that you were chilling with a camel, which was probably not in Benel. Mm-hmm. It was probably somewhere out of country.
Yes.
But it was so cool to hang out through the other day at the shop. And for those that are listening, and if you haven't met this awesome dude yet and his partners at that establishment, get there because my opinion so far of your establishment, man, is it's the epitome of what I love in Flagler Beach, like an entity of, it's not just a fantastic product and just a coffee shop. Mm-hmm. It's got a very warm feeling. You guys are extremely personable and super cool ultimately. And I'd love to, if you cool with it, man, like take it from like you're from here.
Yes.
Kind of grew up here, but we talked a little bit, but refresh my memory. Were you from the Palm Coast Flagler area or did you move here?
Yes. Okay. So I moved here with my family when I was 13 years old from a small city, Clarendon Hills, Illinois, suburb of Chicago, Illinois. And I moved here just in time for all the hurricanes of 2004. So like I moved here and then Andrew, Charlie, Katrina, and as a 13-year-old, I was like, this is what Florida's like.
Right.
Okay. Like where have we moved to? So I kind of feel like that was my initiation. So Floridian from day one, but yeah. So, local, graduated from FPC 2008, went to UCF, University of Central Florida, go Knights, national champs. So, but yeah, so have been here. But as you alluded to in my Facebook profile, I've done a bit of traveling. So I lived in Virginia for a few years, lived in Atlanta for a few years, and then came back just at the end of 2016.
Okay.
And then this coffee shop dream really started, I would say, January of 2018. So we're about a year and a half into the dreaming portion of it before we even got to where we were open to where we are today.
I remember because one of your besties is Fabian.
Yes.
And he's like a cousin to me. So I've always known about you since him because of just dialogue and him being your buddy. And I remember hearing about this dream, which always excites me when I hear about people's goals and dreams and visions. And I remember that. And I remember hearing through the pipeline that it was going to be like a step up from your average coffee shop. It was going to be very in depth. And I mean, so did you do all your traveling pretty much right after like you did the 4 year, what did you do? 4 years or?
No, I did. So I did 2 years in Orlando. Okay. And then, so the traveling really came in the last 4 or 5 years.
You got the bug.
Yeah. I got the bug, got bit. So it really started with, I did this discipleship training school at a church in Virginia.
Nice.
And so they had a relationship with churches all over the world. And so through them, I went to Sweden, I went to Lebanon, just in meeting with other church leaders. And so that's a big part of just who, I am. But then the camel picture, that was actually just a family trip with my grandpa and my dad. So
nice.
Yeah, that kind of all started with grandpa wanting to go on a road trip, and he wanted to go up and drive up and see Niagara Falls. And I was like, hey, that's really cool. However, even cooler would be doing something outside of the United States. Is there anything you've had on your bucket list for a while? And he said, well, I've always wanted to see Mount Everest. And so we were like, okay, so that's awesome. Let's go to Mount Everest. Let's go to Nepal. And then he has a friend who's a travel agent, and we had a layover in Dubai. And I was like, well, we're going to be there. Let's stay there for a couple of days. And so that's kind of that's where the camel picture comes into play. Yeah. And
so if you click on his Facebook page, ladies and gentlemen, his profile is him and this camel, which my wife would not let me use for his photo today, which I think is a pretty dope photo, though.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It was great. It was really funny because I blended in really well with the locals. Pretty ethnic.
You got the dark features.
Yes, yeah.
What's the height out there? Kind of. Are you?
Pretty similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that works out for you too.
Right. So it was actually, people were making jokes because my dad is very Irish looking, right? And so people were saying that I looked like his tour guide. So.
Yeah. Come with us. I can see you out there. Yeah. So that's one thing about, as we shared when we got to hang out the other day at the shop, is very dear to me because I believe, and this goes, those that do remove themselves out of their comfort zone and travel, even if it's out of their own zip code, you start to get a really good love and passion towards other humans too. You just fall in love with other cultures and ways, and it's just good. Now, you had shared something too, that you were planning on maybe Antarctica. Where was it? Alaska or something?
Oh, yes.
I know it's in the future, not tomorrow, but
right.
On your bucket list.
So I've been very, very blessed and fortunate to have done a bit of traveling. And so at this point, I've been to 5 out of the 7 continents.
Nice.
So on my list left is Antarctica and Australia. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, which one you think you'll do first?
I feel like Australia will be a lot easier,
just
because there's a bit more direct routes,
right?
Whereas with Antarctica, I feel like I haven't done too much research, but I'm assuming it's a bit of a planning process.
I've heard that getting there is it's way harder because there's permits, and it's not just catch a flight and go tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously the weather isn't too friendly.
I've had friends tell me that there are stations there that you could volunteer. Well, not volunteer, they pay you to work at, but it's you got to be there for 6 months out of the year.
Right.
So it's one of those things where I was like, maybe, but I'm also getting a lot older, and so those opportunities are kind of leaving me by. But I was like, I don't know, I don't have kids yet, so maybe I'll pull the trigger.
The only travel regret I have is my cousin. We were really young at the time. I was 20 nothing. and I'm going to Australia.
Yeah.
Just to go, no return ticket, backpack, I'm going. And that's the way he always had been.
Yeah.
And he was always he was the yin to the yang, kind of making me out of my comfort zone. And there was a lot of travels we did do. And thank God, because of him, I did a lot of things and went a lot of places. And that was one I just chickened out. And I totally regret it, because as you say, as we get older, you know, whether it's fiscal or just time and just the comfort level of like, golly, the travel out there, you know?
Yeah.
But that's one on I think that's every traveler's bucket. It's got to be. And if it's not, you've either been, you're from there then.
Yeah.
But so here's some part of the show, man. As we get to know each other, I'm really super, not to just say it because they sound cliche and typical, but dude, I really am proud of you guys.
Thank you.
It's there's a wonderful jive you got going on there, and you and Michael make a fantastic duo. And I can't wait to have them on the show. And I hope you guys were you okay with that, by the way?
Oh, no.
That met well?
Yeah, that was totally fine.
Because the show is starting to evolve in this. I'm using this your story, my table concept, because it's helping a lot of people understand that it doesn't require a business. It doesn't require, you know, some like paradigm shift of thought to have to come on the show. It's just your story. And when you guys were going to come as a joint effort, I said, no, we'll come slow, all of individually, but your story is going to be so special and probably resonate with people. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, we had kind of shared this, was like, for those that may be on the brink and or have an idea or a concept, and they're maybe whether they're too afraid or they feel like it's not the right time, or they're what were some of your, lack of better words, come to Jesus moments that have gotten you to this point of, and of course it's not over. Yeah. I'm not saying like you made it. Now we're in it, you know, now you're really dancing on the dance floor. But for those, if there's people out there that are listening, which is the point of the whole show, that once again are dealing with maybe something that you dealt with, what was their...
Man, so thank you so much for saying we're super proud and super happy. You know, Mike and Rachel are just terrific partners to work with, and just shout out to them. Shout out to Rod and Val Palmer. They're the pastors of Coastal Family Church. So if you're unaware, our location is 212 6th Street South in Flagler Beach, and we share a space inside the Coastal Family Church. Now, we're a separate entity, so we're not affiliated with the church in any way necessarily, other than we just happen to be members of the church. But so if you come check us out and you walk in, you see a bunch of chairs and a stage and a bunch of instruments, that's why, because there's a church right next to us. But to answer your question, as far as like, hey, if I'm somebody and I'm thinking about starting a business, or, you know, if I'm kind of teetering about it, I would say just, you know, is this something that you're passionate about? Is this something that you really, really want? Because, I mean, I think it goes without saying that like life takes risk, you know? I mean, you know, anything worth doing isn't going to be easy. And there were plenty of times when you have these moments of doubt and you're asking, like, I remember even a month before we had our opening, I was kind of sitting down and I looked at Mike and I was like, are we really doing this? Like, is this, because I mean, we had, you know, rearranged our lives to make this, you know, this thing happen. And I mean, and you said it right. I mean, even though we've been open for about 4 weeks and the support has been amazing, the truth is, I mean, there are no guarantees. And so, you know, I don't have kids, but I imagine this is what having a newborn feels like, because it's, you know, it's like, hey, this is exciting. And this is, you know, just, there's so much joy in this process, but, you know, we're still growing and we have to give ourselves room and that space to grow. But I would say if you're somebody who's deciding, you know, whether or not, I would say just make a decision and give it everything you've got. And it's okay to fail. I would say it's better to fail having tried than to just sit and ponder and doubt for the rest of your days. Because, you know, like I said, it was about 1.5 years in the dreaming process for us to get to this point where we finally kind of gave birth to this idea of like, hey, you know, we want to have really good coffee here in Flagler Beach. We want to have a space where people can come and just sit and relax and have community, right? And I would say that I found kind of to be the most surprising thing was that with all the excitement and all the passion, all the energy that goes into getting to that step, that there are those like moments when you're by yourself and you're just, all the reasons why you shouldn't are kind of staring you down. And like, so just know that those things are going to come, But if you genuinely believe, and we genuinely believe that this was the right thing for us to do. We genuinely believe that we could do this. Then go for it. Like my dad has a good saying. He says, impossible is irrelevant. And so when it comes to things of business, you have to just decide for yourself if you want to do it or not, and consider impossible things to be irrelevant to you achieving your dreams.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now you had mentioned, because we may jump around a little bit, but on a note of your grandfather, is he still with us?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And would you say a lot of your outlook on life this probably goes without asking, but has been affected like positively because of his influence, and have they been very supportive of this concept, idea, etc.?
Oh yeah. No, they've been super supportive. I think that, my grandpa, he loves, I would say his main influence on me is his love of country, his love of travel, and just love for his family, because, that man will get in a car. He drove to the Arctic Circle one time, just spent 3 weeks in the car. And yeah. And so, and I feel like it was kind of like, it wasn't luxurious, but he just went ahead and did it. And I was like, I think you kind of have to have that attitude. If you want to go for it, you can. And and then you try to figure out, okay, if I'm going to travel, I got to travel on a budget. You just kind of have to be okay with being a bit uncomfortable.
Right.
So
now you also come from a beautiful, large family.
Yes.
Is it 5 including you?
5 including me. Oh, sorry, 6 including me. So I have 5
including you.
Yes. So I have 2 older brothers, 2 younger brothers, and a sister who's the youngest. Well, yeah, big family.
I remember you telling me we had shared about your sister and being. I said, "What's it like having a sister, et cetera, in this day and age?" And you're like, in this, with having the 5 older brothers, it's actually pretty. She's pretty well rounded, because she's
no, for sure.
Self-sufficient.
She's very confident around other guys. I think she's very comfortable. So shout out to Margot, wherever you are. She's actually in school right now to be. She wants to be a CEO. She wants to be in business. And she wants to conquer the world, which I think she can. I think she's the ability to. Yeah, she has no problem telling a guy what she thinks. So, but yeah. So my parents, Ken and Angela Reed, they, God bless those two. Obviously it was 6 kids. But I think big families are amazing. Obviously that's been my experience growing up. I've heard a lot of people tell me, "Oh, I wish I had more siblings," or whatever. But it's funny. You also get people like 6. Like, my parents have heard it all. Like, don't you guys own a television? Like, right, all these crazy things. But the truth is, like, families are beautiful. Children are beautiful. Like, big families are beautiful. I wouldn't have changed it for the world.
Are they local still? The parents, are they?
Yes. Yep. Yep,
awesome.
They're local.
They got to be super pumped.
Oh yeah. They've been super supportive. Our very first customers were my mom and my grandpa.
Those are always the best.
Yeah, came in right at 7 o'clock.
You botch them, you mess up too. I think it's as I get to know you guys, and I'm super pumped to get to know even Michael and his missus as we grow together. And I would say, what are some of the things right now, just being vulnerable, if you don't mind, that you are dealing with? Like, where's Douglas Reed? Are you getting a full 8 a night? You know what I mean? Like, where are you? Are you good? I'm asking that sincerely, because whether we were on a show or not, I think I even did maybe have hinted on that when we did meet. But those are the things that give me my life units, is when I know when people are just open, and I'm not looking for the negative too. If things are great. But where are you right now as a new business owner? At the age that you're at, which is great because you're like pioneering something. Is it safe to say that is your family a bunch of entrepreneurs, or are you more? Do you come from a lineage of entrepreneurship?
So, Pops is an entrepreneur.
Okay,
always has been. So I think that's where it really comes from.
Fever.
Yeah,
awesome.
So yeah, Ken Reed he's a force of nature. So if you ever meet him, you understand what I'm talking about.
That's his business. Force of nature.
Force of nature. Ken Reed.
What's his nature business? Is it?
So he owns R&K Roofing.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's him. Shout out to R&K.
This is crazy. This whole time, those have been your parents?
Yep, that's been my folks. Yeah, but I didn't
even know that.
It's actually a really funny story, right? So he's a really intelligent man. When my parents, they met in California, got married, and then they moved to Chicago, and he got a job as a market manager. Or he created markets in the Chicago Stock Exchange, and so just whatever, that kind of crazy,
whatever
that means, right? So you essentially would create markets for people to invest in. And he predicted the crash of 89, I think it was. And he had like shorted the market. And he tells us like for like a couple hours, we were millionaires. And then we lost everything because the market crashed in record fashion like it never before. So, but anyway, after that happened, right? So my parents had my oldest brother, Lex, second baby on the way, David. And my mom, knowing that my dad had like a toolbox or tool set, knowing that he had done construction when they lived in California, put an ad in the paper for Reed Construction without telling him. So he gets a call one day, like, the guy's like, hello. And my dad's like, yeah, what do you want? And he goes, well, is this reconstruction or not? And he was like, sure.
We're open for business.
Yeah, of course we can. So like, that's totally my dad, right? Just like didn't have a clue, but knew that he needed to, bring in some money. So yeah, why wouldn't you be calling for reconstruction? So did that, got his general contractor license, and ended up doing that for a long time, and then moved us down here, and then started the roofing business. Yep. And so, like I said, I mean, I've never met anyone who could just out of thin air create, so many opportunities for himself and others. Are your brothers involved in the business at all? Or? Yeah. So my older brother, David, is the general manager right now. Man. And we've all worked for R&K in some capacity, but it's like at some point it was like, oh, you're kind of a glorified secretary, right? But so he worked, he's working as a general manager. So nice, man. Yeah, he, but it's perfect for him because he was a mechanical engineer, so has that strind, and it's just very organized, and so that pairs well with somebody like my dad, who's like, he's just a visionary, right? And just like I said, just go, and then when you combine that with somebody who can kind of keep things organized, it really makes a much more ideal. The yin and the yang? Yin and the yang, exactly. Yeah, balance. Like Mike and I, there's a lot of yin and yang. Yeah, I noticed that in a good way. Yeah, in a good way. Super chill. Like, not that you're not chill, right? But you seem to be someone that could just probably grab the bull by the horns, where Michael's probably going to let it exhaust itself. And then deal with it, right? He's more of the take a back seat and let the water settle, where I could see you just getting in. Yeah. Well, and I would say Michael would probably surprise you in that he is like sneaky strong and sneaky like you wouldn't expect him to be that kind of person, right? Because I get that he puts off that persona, but he's actually kind of the opposite. Really? Yeah. Like he has no problem just like telling people things that I'm like, are you allowed to say that? I love it. So he's got that secret fierceness. Yes, that secret. Yeah, we affectionately call him the honey badger, because he really kind of like, he's 100% the honey badger, but like, again, sneaky. Like, he got me. Like at night. Yeah, he had me fooled. Which both are great characteristics, but one or the other. I mean, he still is. I can't wait to get to know him. It was so awesome to walk out of there and him be like, come here, give me your number. It was like, this guy, this is real. It wasn't. You can't fake that. Yeah. And you guys do a really good job at really. Yeah. No, I will say this. So Mike is 100% genuine guy, right? What you see is what you get, and. When people ask me like, how do you describe Mike McDermott? I'm like, well, have you seen Star Trek? Do you know Spock? Like that, like his bluntness is so like genuine and honest. Spock is the only character I've ever been able to like compare him to, right? But like obviously more human than. What race is Spock's? I don't know. I know who he is. Yeah, I'm like really get upset. All your is Star it this Trek. Guy? Yeah. All right. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know what for this. Yeah, the Star Trek guys are probably. Yeah, he's half human, half. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank right now. So you would lose the money bet. It would be like for $1 million. Yeah, exactly. I'd have to phone a friend for this. Phone a friend. Yeah, Vulcan. There you go. Yeah. See, all right, I've got. Yeah, so my family, we're like. I mean, I don't want to say low key. We're pretty nerdy. So you have nerd parties? Yes. Good. Yeah. So basically, if you come to the Reed house, we're probably gonna be making food and playing board games. Like we're not talking about Monopoly. We're talking like hardcore. Like you go to conventions and find these games. Straight up nerd parties. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. We're doing some. I had someone actually coin the nerd party today. It was hilarious. I've been slowly but surely trying to get some interneters together once in a while just to talk internet and high five and
a friend of ours that I'm getting to know really well, she came to one of them and she goes, I went to one of your nerd parties, and I was like, it was so funny.
So what's going on at one of your nerd parties?
I don't know. We're just kind of, I thought it was, there's a really weird juju in the digital environment and always have been. So I've been kicking this now for like 10 plus years. And dude, when I first reached out to a few digital folk, there was less than 5. Yeah. And I was just getting in the game. And I thought, well, hey, let me just reach out to them and say, I don't know what I'm doing, but here's what I'm good at. Can I just mop your floors basically?
Yeah.
And dude, I was met with this very weird, this not only apprehension, but wouldn't even like literally and or figuratively look at me. Mm-hmm. And that same genre of still exists. I'm sure it's in every business. Obviously, I'm only can talk about my little 6 inches in front of my face as far as what I'm aware of.
Yeah.
But dude, I figured, you know what? Screw this. A couple months ago, I just started. Everyone that knows me, whether you're in my industry or not, knows that I'm all about like hugs and high fives and what can I do to just.
Okay, so you're saying that people in your industry are
just grumpy.
Grumpy. You know, it's funny because like in the coffee business, in the coffee world,
you feeling it?
Well, it's one of two things, right? It's either very grumpy, very snobby, or very friendly, very open. Okay. Not a lot of middle ground. And so to kind of give you like a little breakdown on the history of coffee in the United States, right? So we are what we call or considered third wave coffee. So like a third generation of coffee development is kind of what you're seeing. So, you know, like that like coffee shop experience where there's a high attention to detail to temperature, water pressure, you know, freshness of the bean, you know, precise, you know, grind size and things like that. That's all considered like third wave coffee. Okay. First wave was, you know, when American veterans from the Second World War came home, they're like, hey, we had this crazy thing in Italy, you know, called, you know, coffee, and we'd love to have more of it. You know, we had espresso there, right? That's where the term Americano comes from, actually, because the coffee was too strong for them, so they watered it down. So, like, literally, you come to the coffee shop, you ask for Americano, we're going to take espresso shot and pour it in hot water.
Okay.
So that's first wave. So like think like Folgers, chock full of nuts, tin can. That's what you're getting. Second wave is, you know, your Starbucks, your Dunkin' Donuts, and Starbucks really kind of did an incredible thing in that they really changed coffee culture in the United States. In that, you know, people weren't going out of their way to get a cup of coffee unless it was happened to be like, oh, I need to like stop off on my road trip and I'm going to pop in a diner because I know they're going to have some coffee. Like Starbucks really got it into, you know, Americans' everyday, you know, routines. Like, yeah, I want to get my coffee before I go to work, or hey, I want to sit in an environment that just has coffee and, you know, work on my book or whatever, right? And so then third wave is like, hey, you know, coffee, almost like as a science, needs to be treated as such. It's chemistry, right? And so, you know, for people that like their Starbucks, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But I kind of like compare it to the first time I ever had like fresh from the earth potato sat on my plate. I was like, oh, this is what a real potato tastes like, right? Not been sitting in some warehouse for a month and, you know, like, oh, okay, like I had no idea, right? And so with third wave coffee, it's, hey, this coffee bean, it's a crop, it's seasonal, it changes, the chemistry of it changes, you know, kind of like the Starbucks or McDonald's model is, hey, whenever you go into one of our stores, we want to make sure you have the exact same experience every single time. And with that, you have to make some sacrifices. And unfortunately, some of the sacrifices that you make are the quality of the bean, right? So, and typically the kind of bean that they're going to roast is going to be very, very dark roasted. It's going to, you know, all the oils it's going to be very oily. And so, but again, when you're talking about just the sheer scale of what they're doing, like, I don't know any other way to do it, right? So that's what makes sense for them. Right. But kind of like what we're doing, a lot of other, you know, third wave craft coffee shops are doing is like, hey, you know, there's only one of us. And so we can really focus on honing in on a really good, genuine coffee experience where, you know, almost like a really fine wine, you can like, oh, like you really kind of start to appreciate the different complexities of flavor that come with it, right? You know, for some people, coffee has only been kind of like a burnt, bitter experience. Like I kind of like hold my nose and chug it down to get what I need to get done. Whereas, you know, what you'll find at ES Coffee and other shops like it, who are really embracing that third wave, experience is, oh, wow, this is not bitter at all. This is actually really, really nice. It's very smooth. Am I tasting chocolate? Am I tasting something fruity? Like this is like, this is wild. I've never, considered coffee in this perspective before. And actually that was, 2 years ago, I was kind of in that camp of, I didn't really like coffee. Right. And then, Mike came along and made me some of his coffee. And I was like, well, this is actually amazing.
And when I was talking with you at the shop, I don't know, I'm no coffee aficionado. I just know, like you said, I drink it and I'm like, Willy Wonka made this. And I'm blown away. But I could tell you the passion, if the people that are listening and those that have already met you at the shop, if you don't pick up the passion that this dude has, and you're missing something, because it's amazing, man. And as I deal with more and more people that are involved in some capacity of business and or dreams, there's nothing more refreshing than when someone's actually standing. It's not just an affiliate, and there's a lot of that. And I get it. And I understand that there's ways of diversifying and making money and just setting up little things, but you guys are so passionate about it, and it shows, dude. Like, I have no idea. Like, so me personally, as this is a layman consumer of coffee, I don't know what's going on here, but let's just talk about some of these things, right? Yeah. So I'm drinking this. I'm addicted to what am I having? A flat white?
It's called a flat white.
So what the heck is a flat white?
It's very, very simple. So it's a shot of espresso with steam milk.
Okay.
And that's it.
And there's no sugars, no nothing.
No added
sugars.
But it tastes
nothing. And it's not sweet, but it's just so rich.
Yes. So kind of what you're getting is so we use organic grass-fed whole milk, right? So there's definitely a bit of a natural sweetness to the milk. And the espresso, when it's pulled properly and everything's dialed in the way it should be, there's no bitterness. So typically when you have a coffee experience that, the bean is old or over extract, is very, very bitter, you have to compensate with a lot of sugar. So then you kind of get this idea of like, oh, in order to have like a pleasant coffee experience, I need to use a ton of sugar. Not with the flat white, literally 2 ingredients, our coffee and steam milk.
Amazing.
So, and the way that works is like, hey, we had the steam wand is what it's called. So basically it's like high pressured steam that froths the milk. And so with the flat white, as compared to like a latte, is the only difference is just the proportion of milk. So what you have is an 8-ounce drink, whereas a latte is a 12-ounce drink. And now, okay, so I have this
chemistry.
Yeah, that's the chemistry, right? So Rachel and Mike, being the aficionados that they are, they're trying to convince me that there's a huge difference texture-wise with the milk compared to, like, say, a flat white or a latte or cappuccino. And as in my ignorance, I'm kind of like, but is there though? Is there a big difference? Because to me, it's just like, hey, this is really good milk blended with my espresso shot. But they're like, no, Doug, like, because okay. And so you might see me if you ever come to the shop, like practicing on the wand. So like, it's not complicated. It's just like, it takes some artistry to really dial in the milk well. And so Rachel is trying to teach me like how to properly hold the wand and for how long, and for like temperature is a big thing, right?
Sure.
So whenever we serve a coffee, we want the temperature to be precise so you can consume it right when it's served. I mean, there's so many times where you go somewhere else and like, here's your beverage and it's like molten lava and you burn your tongue, right?
Right.
If that's what you get, like, that is not a good coffee experience. You should be able to consume it upon serving, right? So we're dialing in the temperature of the milk at like 130, 140 degrees. And so that is like the perfect, like, yep, it's nice, it's pleasantly hot, but it's not going to burn me, and it's going to still be hot, when I drink it in 5 minutes. So
I didn't even realize that, but like, as you're saying these things, I'm getting blown away because there is a lot that's going into it. I've only, me being my lazy bum myself, I've only been to the shop once out of the like 100 that I've had so far, because most of them Camille's going and getting
right.
them for me.
We see your wife a lot.
Yeah.
In the shop.
But when I did get the one when I was there, I didn't realize all this like, I like what you said earlier. It really is. It just comes down to some really good chemistry and knowing the balance and whatnot.
Yeah.
So have you started? I know we're 4 weeks in, but have we started to find like what this town so far is favoring? You're like, damn, they really love this stuff, or
yes.
like what's moving, what's not.
So I would like, our most popular drink right now is our iced vanilla latte.
Okay.
So very, very simple. So we make our own simple syrups. So we can control the amount of sugar that goes into it. So it's vanilla syrup, So we make it, with just pure vanilla extract, sugar, water, boil it down. And so the nice thing about that is that and we've heard people say this, and the goal is that this is perfectly sweet. It's not too sweet.
Right.
It's just the right amount of sweetness. And so it's literally 1 ounce of vanilla syrup, espresso shot, whole milk, ice.
But you're making these syrups.
Yes.
So they're not there's no dyes.
No dyes, it's all natural.
Right. No high fructose corn syrups.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
So, yeah. And again, for us, kind of our mantra, when you sit down, right? The business part of me was okay, I know every good business has keywords that they want to focus their business around, right? The very first thing we said we want our shop to be simple, right? So everything about Yes Coffee is the experience is it should be simple, right? So with the syrups, right? Hey, your flat white is literally 2 ingredients. The iced vanilla latte, it's 3 ingredients. Our menu, it's very, very simple. We didn't want people to feel overwhelmed with so many options. We really, there's 2 sizes, small and large, right? We didn't want you to feel what size do I want? And whatever. It's no. When you come in and everyone at the shop is super, super kind. And they want to help you find your drink, because
you're not expected to know.
Yeah.
That Starbucks thing.
Yeah.
I always get in trouble. I don't go there very often, but when I do, I'm always looked at a little I still use small, medium, and large as a point. And
right. Yeah. No, it's venti.
You're a coffee weirdo.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So, kind of going back to the 3. So we said we wanted to be simple, beautiful, and approachable. Right. And so with the approachability factor is yes, someone who maybe works at one of the finest coffee shops, right, that understands all the jargon third wave, right, all that kind of stuff, that's been, goes to professional cuppings. When they come into our shop, they'll recognize that we're doing, whatever,
you mean other third wavers? Yes.
So hey, when if you're familiar with that and you're with the best of the best, you walk in, you'll tell hey, our technique is on point. We are on that level.
Right.
But I know me personally, I've come to some of these shops and I have left feeling I didn't belong there. And I hated that feeling. And
you weren't cool enough.
I wasn't cool enough, right? Or maybe I was man, if my mustache just was a little bit more twirly, or if
it's 9th grade lunchroom feeling.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and so like we were talking about earlier, there's some places where it's it's super, super cold, and it's almost I'm sorry, I'm coming here to give you my business. Yep, I'm sorry I made you serve me coffee, And so for us, it was we wanted to be the furthest thing from that. So for us, it was really important that we had a very simple menu that everyone who comes in, you don't have to know a thing about coffee. You don't have to like coffee, because again, as someone who had the same experience, I didn't like coffee, not 2 years ago. And so our hope is our slogan is taste and see, right? So we would hope that you would come in, taste the product, and see for yourself. Hey, we feel this is the best representation of coffee that we can give you, and we hope that you'll be open to trying it, for the first time, in a sense, right? That you would leave at least knowing for sure whether or not coffee was for you or not. And I can't tell you how many people have come in and just their eyes get kind of wide and they're oh, wow, that's really good. It's not bitter at all. And I'm yeah, because it shouldn't be.
I could tell you this, never have I ever. Mm-hmm. I've always been straight, black. Mm-hmm. My only request sometimes is give me a larger cup than the quantity of the coffee so it doesn't spill on me.
Right.
That's literally the only thing I usually ask. This is all new to me, and now I'm super addicted because it's just fantastic. And I didn't even realize it, but it is, the temp is perfect every time. And I'll tell you what, man, are you seeing, what's funny is I didn't know if you guys did this on purpose, but it's fantastic. The few meetings that I've set up there, when I'm confirming for the day, it's really fun to say yes coffee. It just kind of flows.
Yes.
It's almost, it's weird good. Weird, because I'm confirming for our meeting today at such time, yes coffee. Yes, and it's almost the affirmative, yes,
so
we're going to
that
coffee.
Was to use a term I learned from the movie Tombstone, fortuitous.
Oh, I love it.
So shout out to people that know that Western. So fortuitous is meaning it was mostly by chance, a good fortune chance. So in the process of dreaming, and we were trying to think of a name, this is where Rod and Val Palmer's story kind of comes into it. So they've been pastors for a very long time, and they're from South Africa, and they did ministry with their sister and brother-in-law, Dee and Mark Harris. Mm-hmm. And so Dee, unfortunately, she passed away a few years ago from, I believe it was cancer.
That's the Mama Palmer's sister.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So Val Palmer's sister. I'm going to
get some more. Do you want anything, by the way?
No, I'm great. Yeah. So, before she passed away, they were talking about the Red Dream, definitely. Yeah, that one's South African too, so it's appropriate we're talking about South Africa. So it had always been Rod and Val's dream to have a coffee shop in their church, because in owning their building, they wanted to be good stewards of the space that they had, right? And they felt like it would have been a waste to own a building that only was used once a week, right? And so being the community-minded people they're like, a coffee shop would be great because people could come in, they could sit down, relax, get some work done, and even if they didn't know they were in a church, be blessed by, the church. The feeling, yeah. So anyway, they're in South Africa visiting with Dee before she passed away. She had kind of lost the ability to enunciate some of her words. Okay. And so they said she couldn't say the word yes properly. She would say yes. And so in the midst of that, she said, oh, well, that's the name of your coffee shop. It's Yes Coffee. And so in kind of an honor and homage to her, that's where the name Yes Coffee comes from.
That's what's up.
Yeah. And like when they told us, we were trying to like, can we use yes? Like we were playing with like, should we make it like Y exclamation mark
right.
S? And it doesn't really work. So we just settled on yes. And it really was like one of those things where it was like, yes, this is perfect.
It's all around it just works.
Yeah.
And now that you shared that, which thank you.
You're welcome.
It's just what makes, I hope, this show of something special for people's days when they listen to it, that there's always something deeper. There's always a story, and like what a special thing, especially for the Palmer family in general,
mm-hmm.
that what a great way of, just remembering her and
mm-hmm.
what a beautiful story, man. But it works. It's almost like genius marketing, and ironically it happens to be something that was so sincere,
mm-hmm.
and it's not, but it really does, man. It's fitting. Are
mm-hmm.
you guys, have you found it is it work? You know what I mean? Like I said, we're 4 weeks in, but I feel like it's really, like the branding.
Absolutely.
We just got these cups too, right?
Right.
Camille was telling me.
Yeah, we got our stamps. So these are all hand stamped. Yeah. So I stamped them myself. It took me 2 hours. One Friday we were closed. Unfortunately, we had some construction.
The counter world. Yeah, you ruined my day that day.
Yeah, sorry about that. Part of the soft opening process. We appreciate everyone being patient, and we're growing together, right?
We are growing together. We're one big family.
So,
now.
And we had just gotten our stamps. So I was like, well, I can't do anything else. I will sit here and stamp cups. I think I stamped probably 4,000 cups.
I can't believe your hand. Well, hey, beginning stages. That's a lot of love there.
Yeah. Actually, my mom, Angela Reed, she came in and helped me too. She set up a little station. It was so cute. She was like, we'll do it together.
That's so precious, man, to know these things behind the scenes. It's that those are some of the hilarities of when you get someone that's just, I want to be, must be nice. I get that. Even me, like, must be nice to sit around do shows all the time. Like,
mm-hmm.
You want to see all the coffee cups, some stamped behind the scenes. It's always there's blood, sweat, and tears going into it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
But now also too, in parallel with what you're like the marketing and some of your actual the stuff that you're using, you're into the reusable or the healthy. What would you say?
So the green
straws?
Alternative.
Yeah.
So we have we're featuring Hay straws right now.
Okay.
So Hay is a great company. They, I know everyone is part of this, the great movement of like, hey, we want to try to be more sustainable, right? Which I really feel like, our generation has really gone a hold of is like, guys, like, there is a bit of a problem, and how do we address that? And so it may not seem like a huge thing, but, like changing from plastic straws to, an alternative is a step in the right direction. And so, but everyone's kind of used those paper straws, and I don't know if you've had the same experience that I've had, but I haven't liked it because I can't even finish my drink, and it's kind of mushy, and starts to get soggy, and it breaks apart. So I can't remember if it was Mike or Rach, one of the McDermotts. They're brilliant. they were like, oh, let's use these hay straws. And we love them because
they're literally made out of hay.
They're literally made out of hay. I don't know what there's some kind of coating on them that holds them together.
Like a wax or something.
Something like that, right? But the thing we love about them is that they make it through a drink or two, right? Before they're a bit flimsy. So like if people who are like me, if they like to chew on their stuff, hey, all right, it's over. You know, but
not chewable straws.
They're not chewable, but a lot easier than trying to carry around like a glass straw or metal straw. And so we found the hay alternative to be a really great solution. So if you're interested, and we're actually going to have a wholesale account with this company. So if you're like a restaurant or a business who is looking for an alternative, stop in. You can check out the product. We'd love for you can pick it up from us. But yeah, as far as all the alternatives, I found for a commercial use, hay to be the best option.
That's awesome
so far.
And kudos to you guys for putting that kind of time and energy in, because it's obviously a little bit harder and maybe even sometimes more costly to do that, but you're being conscious of the environment. And there's a huge crowd of people, as we're becoming more educated, that are finding it to be, they favor those establishments and people that put that kind of, TLC into it. And shout out to even companies and individuals like Ridley Straws, Michelle, and those type of companies that are pioneering this, reusable, and it's great, man. And you're going to win her over if she hasn't been there already. She's all like, she won't even go places if they don't have the straws. Can't blame her. She's all about trying to, it's sustainability, and it's a really important thing. But, so what's next? Where's, oh, by the way, are you getting a good 8 right now? Are you sleeping?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sleeping good. As good as you can. Yeah. No, things are really good. I think it was almost like relieving just to be open. Before we opened, I was not sleeping well because it was just like, like we were talking about, like you have those moments where it's like, hey, you're getting so close to investing everything, right? You're all in, right? And it's all like, and you can't see or touch it yet.
Right.
And it's just like, so it's almost like all of the weight and the pressure of having your own business without any of the satisfaction of being able to see it or interact with it. And so again, to use the metaphor that doesn't really apply to me yet, is like, I feel like with a child, right? It'd be like, your wife's pregnant and you're like, the baby's there, but at the same time, it's like, hey, like you're just, there's this anticipation, right? You're waiting, right? And so I feel like just being even soft open was such a huge relief that I'm like kind of in this a bit state of euphoria. Like it's finally here.
You're breathing a little bit.
Yeah. Because
were you guys were you on schedule for the most part?
Mostly. Well, okay. So yes and no. So we actually originally had hoped to be opened in January of this year.
Oh, wow.
So obviously missed that goalpost quite, by 7 months, but, we knew like, hey, 4th of July would be a very important day, like holiday. We knew everyone's going to be in town. Right. We thought, if we're going to shoot for a date, that's the date we want to be open. And so we got there, but I'll be honest, if you'd seen the shop the day before we opened, you would have been like, are you going to open? Like, we were like, so like the countertop thing, the day we were closed. So it was like, hey, we don't have countertops. Literally had to build countertops the day before. Wow. And then that back bar area, built that the day before, right? So we were, we have such amazing friends. They were there with us, assembling chairs, painting things till like 1 o'clock in the morning. When
was actual the first, even though we're still soft launch, like when was the actual
4th of July? That was the first day. I didn't
realize it was the first day.
The very first day.
So you guys were like, that was the nights before that were the midnight oils.
July 3rd, up until the wee morning hours of July 4th, we were there getting it ready. And there were moments where I was like, I was preparing myself to have a contingency plan for we may not be open. Right. And I'm going to have to explain to the people that were wanting us to be open that we won't be. Right. But I mean, I think that's just part of business. That's part of life. Right. It's like, hey, there are no guarantees, you got to take risks, but it all worked out in the end. So.
Seems like it's working. Yeah. Like I said, dude, to chill on there the other day. And I mean, shout out to, we are so, you can use the word blessed or lucky or just fortunate. I mean, Flagler carries, we just had someone, the lady I had on the show yesterday drove from St. Simon's Island to come on the show.
Oh, wow.
Had never been to Flagler before, stayed a night or two, And dude, to hear someone that already comes from somewhat of a smaller site, sounds pretty cool, chill.
Yeah.
A little bit busier than here, but to hear someone talking about Flagler completely unbiasedly too, like not like from anywhere around here, it's just so refreshing, man. There's something really special here. And a lot of the businesses and the owners here they just seem to carry that common denominator, and you guys picked it, right? You guys have it. And I mean that sincerely. Like, I'm not just saying like, because it really, you got to go in and test it for yourself. Like, go in there and chill.
Yeah.
And I would say for those that my love note was, it may be a little tough to find at first, but make the effort. It's not that it's 4th, isn't it 4th?
6th Street.
6th. That's why I got lost. So Camille had so 6th Street South.
Yes. 212.
Don't look for a freestanding building. It's connected to the yellow building.
Yeah, the Coastal Family Church building.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, the west entrance is the door that you can use to access the shop.
Now, is Father and Mother Palmer and the powers that be over there? Are they're enjoying this? Because I know you guys are right now. Your guys are closed on Sundays.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're open Monday through Saturday, 7 to 3. We're closed on Sundays to the public. However, closed or open secret is that if you are coming to Coastal Family Church in the morning, there's a good chance you can get a latte before service starts, or maybe after too. So,
right. And that's kind of nice that you guys, there seems to be this really good amicable relationship where you guys are probably helping each other a lot, and they're giving you this opportunity to put your, footprint in this.
Yeah, Rod and Val have been incredible. They have very generous and genuine hearts. They've been supportive of this project from day one, and I mean, even Rod's kind of talked about a lot lately, just how he really wants to empower the next generation. As it's like, hey, I can't remember if it was people who are under 45, or just now is kind of your time to pick up the mantle, as it were, and and start running. And so I think the coffee shop really is kind of a manifestation of that.
Nice.
And so, and he made a good point, for people who, are in that older category, that not that your time is over, right? You're still here, you're still doing things, your life still has purpose. But for maybe the younger generation, that the way that they, run around in the world, the way that they, kind of articulate their passion, their faith, may not look the same as you did when you were that age. And so
powerful stuff.
Yeah. And so, the coffee shop, I think really it's kind of a beautiful picture of that, dynamic of, hey, they've been, super supportive and invested in this dream. And I think what we're all seeing is just, the natural response to it is that, it's being done well. It's being done, with excellence, and people are responding to it really well. Like you were saying, is that our hope is that when people come in, that they leave feeling like they like some value is added to their day.
It sounds so trippy or super, stitious maybe, but there really is. I mean, there's some things that I pray rather habitually, and one of those is even before shows, I say, let people maybe see something that's different about me, and it's not me. There's your story and the guy upstairs. And I would say this: do you feel, being a God-fearing man, do you feel that maybe sometimes you're supposed to be doing more, but now with this shop and your opportunity to meet so many people, when someone asks, remember I shared this with you? So I feel like sometimes the best way of talking about your God is without speaking.
Sure. Yeah.
And me as a God-fearing person as well, I always feel this, once again, meaning like we should be doing more, maybe sometimes be doing more. There's always something more that you could be doing. And I'm not the kind of guy that I want to be behind a pulpit.
Right.
But now with this show and with the outlets that I've been given, I hope that people are noticing that it's not me. There's something bigger and better working. Do you feel like maybe, or do we share that maybe? Do you feel that like he's given you this opportunity now to have this train of people coming in and out? And when, if the time arises where it's like, hey, how you sleeping that 8?
Right.
Or how did you get past XYZ? And are you seeing that?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you strike on a really good point in that I think maybe sometimes we as, believers can maybe make things a bit too complicated, in that, it really is a very relational experience, how I have come to understand my faith, so, just to give you a bit of a background on, Douglas Reed, grew up in a, good Christian home, and, parents, bring you to church. Right. And so you kind of grew up learning this, this is what we do. So what we believe in. But, even at a young age, just kind of made a decision where it's like, well, I want this expression of faith to be genuine. I don't want to believe this just because my parents believe it. I prefer that, that my relationship with my God is my own. And so I feel like I've been so blessed to have a lot of different amazing mentors in my life to kind of help me on that journey. But kind of back to your point is like, hey, is the coffee shop a manifestation of that? Well, I would say yes, because anyone in business, I think, kind of realizes that their business is an expression of themselves in a lot of ways. Kind of like, and again, don't have kids, but like, kids are an expression of their parents in a lot of ways, And so, just from the obvious that they look like you, but also in their personalities, you're, like you kind of see that like, oh yeah, that's your kid. Mm-hmm. And so, for us, it's really important that everyone, regardless of what they think, wear, believe, whatever, that they would come in and they would feel just at peace at this place, that they would just understand that like, hey, we're not here to preach to you. We're a for-profit business. We're not a church. We're not a ministry. We're serving up really good coffee. That's our aim. But also, and Mike, Rach, and I, we are devout believers, right? We're Christians, and so it's that's just so the who we are. Our identity is going to come through the shop in subtle ways, right?
Well, it shows in a good way, and I guess most likely we're probably winning some people's hearts over, and then some people are being turned off. But the point is that you guys have a really good. What I've noticed in my small time of business and like meeting, because I'm not no Fortune 500, but the people that I come across, when there seems to be, whether it's business or life, when people have an accountability to something, whether it's a dad, somebody, something, or a physical person or entity, a being, if you fear that in a good way, there seems to be accountability. There seems to be this, I'm not going to screw my fellow friend or neighbor because I know I got to go face the truth at some point. So I think it's very noble, and I give you kudos for being not only open and sincere about your beliefs, but more importantly, you guys have a very good way of, you strike me right, because it's, once again, there's a lot of other, it's like, the funny joke about like, how to know when someone does CrossFit.
They're going to tell you that they CrossFit. Yeah.
So that bleeds into all facets of life, no matter if it's your dietary, your physical, what your spiritual. I've noticed that just some of the people that I'm most attracted to are those that just are listening and quick with this, slow with this, and lovers, and are in fear of, and are there's something they're accountable to, whether it's a scary significant other or somebody they're afraid to come home to and be like, why did you do that? And I don't care, like you had said, I sincerely, as I'm figuring out this thing so-called life, I don't give a hoot what you believe in or what you do. Just treat people better than you treat yourself. And isn't it such a power? It's like that golden rule that we learned as children. It goes so, as we do get older and life starts to come hitting us at 1,000 miles an hour, we can tend to forget that. We tend to forget. So I'm learning that, this another one that's rather cliche, but really potent. Hurt people.
Yeah, it's true.
So you get this guy or gal that's, honking at you because you didn't turn in 0.03 seconds on A1A. You automatically know they're probably not from Flagler or live in Flagler. They're pissed. They want to get somewhere, and it's just like not my cup of tea. Right. But that you never know, what are they going through. So the empathy factor, and that seems to be my word of the day for the last couple months, and I've been hearing it a lot, is empathy. Some of the literature that I've been reading, the guests that I've been having, the phone calls I've had, empathy, and it seems to be something that I'm hoping to try to push lately. Is just try to love people a little bit more, and even if you don't like them. Yeah. Is that?
No, totally. Yeah. So if we're going to get like deeply theological with it.
Go with it. I don't care, as long as it's your show, baby.
Yeah.
Your story, my table.
No, I mean, it's it's one of those things that I feel like it's really good to just slow down and be silent. Like, I feel like, so there's like a theme in scripture. It talks about quieting your soul. And I feel like a lot of times, like kind of what you're saying with the person who's, really amped up on A1A, right? They're honking at you, right? Because they got somewhere to be, right? I think there's a, maybe a truth. It's like, but like, hey, whatever it is that's causing you this anxiety, is that really worth it, right? I think, just this, I think what Jesus said was, what good is it if you gain the whole world and lose your soul? That concept of like, hey, the things that are kind of getting at you, like, are they really worth it? And I think for me, like, just my personal journey is just like, hey, things are not really so black and white. There's a lot of life is complicated, like, I don't really want to talk about politics, but politics, they're the truth is it's not, there isn't always an easy solution to the problems we face. Right. And I think that's a, when we're, the faith journey that we're on, it's not easy. It's not pretty. It's not clean. But I feel like a lot of times what ends up happening is we kind of drift away from just simple truths, so kind of what you're saying, like, hey, that golden rule, loving your neighbor as yourself, right? Yeah, that it's very, very simple when you say it like that, but then it's like, hey, what does that look like in actual, like, your day-to-day life, right? And so I think, I don't know why I went on that tangent, but I would say that, like, in how it relates to the business, or how it relates to Yes Coffee, which is really just kind of more of like, hey, in walking out life, it is certainly my desire to be a accurate and honoring representation of who I believe Jesus to be. But there's also truth in that I am a human who is becoming that, right? So there's like this, there's this process of being transformed, right? Is kind of that idea in scripture, that, like, hey, what do you like, what you're saying, like, whatever, like, what is it that can take people from, angry, the term I guess would be lost or whatever, to, having the presence to be loving, and I think kind of come full circle with it a little bit. It was just like, okay, like, hey, from my perspective, it's God loved us first, right? That's a big one for me. Is that, like, because I, as a, like, a little bit more energy, kind of want to be more actionable, right? The trap for myself is like, I want to do it, right? I want to show that I can do it right. But it's like, hey, the truth is, I couldn't. That was why Jesus came. That was the purpose of his sacrifice, was that, that me, a human, would not be able to do it. And so Jesus came as a human to show me how to do it for me, paid the price, so that I could become like him. Right. And so I think a lot of times, kind of you were saying earlier about, like, hey, should I be doing more? And I feel like really it's not, I don't want to have that mentality, because I feel like what that says is like, hey, like, have you proven yourself? Right. And I feel like there's a really sweet truth in resting and knowing that, like, hey, one day I'm going to have a kid, and he doesn't have to prove himself to me. He's going to be my kid. Right. And I'm going to love him on the good days. I'm going to love him on the bad days. And, but he is right there. He didn't have to earn it that day. Right. And so, when Satan was tempting Jesus in the desert, he said, if you really are the Son of God, do this, do that, and I feel like I know I wrestled with that for a long, long time, feeling like I had to do this or do that. But, that's not really faith, So I think to get off get off the preacher stand for a second, is, how that really just ties in is that this coffee shop has been a really beautiful journey of just God inspiring us, leading us. And, for us, we really feel like that it's more than just a business to us, right? We want people to feel like they came in and experience an environment it's peaceful, right? Because it's like, hey, we're not just trying to extract money out of you. That's like, yeah, we need to live, right? This is how we're going to provide for ourselves and our families. But there's so much more, right? There's the connections. There's the meeting people, the sitting, like when you came in the other day and we just talked for an hour. For us, that's what's super important. It's really important for us to look people in the just hear how they're doing, right? I just read recently, I believe it's a Mr. Rogers quote. He said that there's something really holy about being a good neighbor, right? When you look into somebody's eyes and you stop and you appreciate them for who they are, knowing that there's I'm going to butcher the quote, but it's basically like the idea was like, hey, there's something, God is close to people. And so when you stop for a moment and you become close to somebody, you are participating in something that God is doing, right? And so kind of like with your podcast, our conversation the other day, that, there is opportunities to connect with people in a way that is, I'll use the word holy, because, that word meaning like, hey, it's something that's set apart. It's like, hey, this moment was, there was a divine aspect to it, because I know that God loves you. And if I'm sitting down and I'm talking with you and I'm hearing your story, and if we're connecting, then I think that there was an appreciation and a participation in how God wants to be with you and I, right, in relationship. And and what's, I think the challenging thing is, do we accept that, right? Are we willing to, like, hey, like, you made it pretty clear, like, he sent his son so that we could. And then I think the choice is ours. We have our free will, and that's pretty much the story as I know it. Well,
it's amazing, man. I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
I've had something through some of my growth lately. I came to the realization, which isn't anything profound, but it is pretty unique for myself. Maybe if it resonates with anybody out there, and even to you, I share this with you. So if there are those that are out there that do believe in some entity higher than them, there's a higher being, the chances of you probably ever hearing that being is probably never. You've never audibly heard that being. It's pretty safe to say. And what I'm saying in English is basically, whatever God you serve, the chances of you actually hearing him I know you've never heard it. I've never heard it. We can feel it, but we've never heard an audible, hello, do this, don't do that. My point of saying that is that lately I've noticed that some of the most amazing people that I've come across seem to just never speak. They speak with their body language. They do use words, but they're very cool, calm. And I've noticed that, isn't it ironic that with, once again, whatever God you may serve, he doesn't talk to you. He's just there. He listens. I'm a firm believer in feeling him and feeling his direction. And maybe sometimes you don't, but point is, I try to emulate that more and more as I'm getting older. I try to be a listener. I try to be a lover, and try to, exercise those characteristics of what, once again, whatever higher calling that if you don't believe in one, then that's your prerogative too. You definitely don't hear anything. So, so it's a safe common denominator across the board that all of us out here, we bleed the same color. And if you just listen and love, it's powerful. And I really do appreciate it. When I came home that day, Douglas, from that shop, it was such a breath of fresh air and once again, we're super spoiled. So it's not that much of an anomaly in Flagler Beach. Most of us are super blessed where even if I'm down, I'll go give a hug to Carla at the shop, her
Right.
shop. I could go see, the list goes on. And you all know who you are, who are very special to me. I can go out right now and get my hug tank filled in 2 seconds.
Sure.
And that's a Flagler Beach, like, staple. But it's very easy for you, that hug or whatever it was, literally or figuratively, only lasts so long. And then life is at you 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But it's good to kind of just, like you said, chill, be at peace. And I think it probably is a byproduct of why people that are able to exercise it, because that's the thing is, I think what I'm learning is that it comes down to exercising it. It's not like, I got it, right? Like,
sure,
you could do your 100 push-ups today, but you got to do it tomorrow and the day after that if you want to sustain it.
Yeah.
So it's a tremendous amount of ongoing sacrifice of staying in whatever it is that you're looking for, which hopefully, if you're listening to this show or a friend of mine, I only looking for peace, man. I'm not driven. I used to be driven by the money. I sincerely want that 8 to 10 hours of sleep. 10 would be even better, but I got to get to bed earlier. But I think it's kind of it's this perfect recipe. Talk about chemistry. But if you could sip a little bit of humbleness, empathy, love on a daily basis with some other ingredients, you seem to just get that good 8 hours.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, like I said, I really did enjoy our conversation the other day. I feel like this topic can be a bit tricky because there are some people who've had a really negative experience in church or, just in like, all Christians are the God hates fags people, right? Or, it's like, the PR has not been good. But I mean, really, that doesn't bother me. But more so, it's like, hey, they have like people out there who have had a really negative, experience. Like my heart really goes out to those people because, that is such a like hard thing to walk through, right? And so even in discussing it like openly on the air like this is that, my hope is that like, for those people who are listening, who have been, negatively affected by church in some way in their lives, that you would know, like without a shadow of a doubt that God loves you, that you would know without a shadow of a doubt that you can hear his voice. I know, we talk about not being able to or to being able to, but I genuinely believe that God speaks to all of us. I
agree with that.
I genuinely believe that, that there's a loving God out there, who cares for us, who cared so much for us that, he showed up, And so, but, I think that sometimes like, hey, life is hard, we all are going to experience, hard things. And, what's really heartbreaking is that people who, make claims of faith, who make claims of, I can speak for God or whatever, hurting people, right? Misleading people, right? So like to me, that's just so tragic because, at the end of the day, like that those people would be an obstacle on the way to knowing and experiencing faith in the way that I've come to know it and experience it. And so, I don't know why I felt like it was really important to say that.
No, it's beautiful that you're saying that. Like I said, this is part of the show, man. There's no agenda. We don't owe anybody anything. And it's not like I said, you can do whatever you want. So I really appreciate you being open and honest. And dude, like I literally live by this rule for this little show is that I would be doing this with you, whether we were on or not. You know that.
Right. Yeah.
So whether there's one person watching or one day, 1 bazillion, I sincerely am enjoying the fact that we're growing together as humans.
Sure.
And I told you this the first time that we got to chill. And I mean this in time. I've noticed that the most amazing commodity in anything, business, relationship, anything, is time, and I tell whether it's a business relationship, I'm pointing to my office, or if it's a friendship, time's the best now.
Yeah.
Like if all goes as planned, and I'm still standing, I sincerely mean this, that I will be a fan of yours. I will be a friend, and I will root you on as best as I can. And
thank you.
through my trials and tribulations, I hope that I can also rely on a hug and a high five. Remember I told you that too. And it's a good feeling. But when your motive is pure and you have that agape love of just unconditional, no expectations of return, it's really surreal. I'm actually really blessed today, man. I got someone coming over that I'm going to meet with and dealing with a really unique situation where I'm able to help somebody. And it's just good. It's a good feeling. Yeah. It's a good feeling. And I'll tell you what, by you sharing what you did today, man, it's powerful. And it just goes to show, lately I've had people though, they keep saying they don't think it's a live show. They really do. They're like, there's no way it's live. And they're not saying like in a mean way, but just in like some Flagler banter at, the watering holes and whatnot. They're like, there's no way, dude. You just definitely scripted. But this was like,
no, this is live. This is
really live.
There's no script to this.
So I really appreciate you just letting it out and hitting from the hip. But I'll tell you, dude, to say I'm proud of you is like an understatement. I mean, it's amazing. You're a deep dude.
Thank you.
You're a really deep dude. And I think you got, I told you this at the shop, and I try to tell people this that are starting a new business when they ask me, like, when they spend like 8 years on a logo, when I'm like, listen, let's just get past the logo because you may become a guest speaker this time next month. And I sincerely believe that everyone has, businesses are great, but like you said, they're always a reflection of someone under something. If they're a multi-billion-dollar company, there's still a couple. There's usually the 12 dwarfs at the very top that are making the calls and the stockholders, and it's being influenced by someone under something. And it was really powerful that you shared that. And I do believe sincerely that your coffee shop is a reflection of you, Michael, and Rachel. Yeah, and it shows. And I wish you. I mean, I think it's going to happen. You don't even need my wishes. It's happening, man. It really is. And I mean,
no, I know. I really appreciate you saying that. I know Mike, Rachel, and I, we're just stoked to be even more involved in the community. I mean, obviously, we're locals, and so we've been here a while, but I think it's been super rewarding and refreshing just to for people to walk in and just, and get to know them and have those really good conversations. And so, I mean, really do appreciate you guys supporting us. Everyone who's been out, just thank you so much. Everyone who's been, posting on their social media accounts and just, leaving us reviews. I mean, obviously it means a lot to us, but just so it's not left unsaid, we really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, everyone, for the support you have given us. And, I think there's a really cool, tight knit community that we have. And so, cause we're not looking to be like just some franchise chain or whatever, hey, we really want to be something that everyone would be proud of to say, yeah, we have Yes Coffee in Flagler, like that. And that would, we would be some bragging rights for our town. So
it's showing. Well, let's do this. Did we do, see the Joe Rogan effect, bro? It's 2:00. We did it.
True. Made it.
Let's do this. I'll tag. Anything else that we did good? I could talk to you all day, by the way. So I don't, but we'll, I think.
Say shout out. What'd you think of that Red Dream?
Dude, I'm loving this. The way it was introduced to me was, you guys have a very good way of actually saying what I'm going to expect. So when I went to have this, I didn't have this. Jay, shout out to Jay Shear. I think that's how you say his last name. Great dude, super supportive. Yeah, becoming a huge pivotal character in the area. Point is, he got this. He got this guy, but it was iced, and he was super chill. And he's like, "Yo, taste it." And I think it was Rachel, and was super informed. Was like, listen, it's this, it's that, it's this. And one of the things she said, it was like earthy, like a beat.
Yes.
And it is. Yeah. But I like that kind. I'm not a sweet, I don't need a lot of bells and whistles. Yeah. This is delicious.
So for everyone listening, the Red Dream it's a rooibos tea espresso. And so, excuse me.
Isn't it caffeine free?
It's caffeine free. So for people that I didn't know this, that decaf coffee actually still has caffeine in it. I knew. Yeah, so I didn't, and it was kind of surprising to me. So we have some, friends who I can't have any caffeine, heart conditions, things like that. Like actually, Don over at Flagler Tea Company, shout out to them, super awesome people. Go check them out. He loves coffee, can't have it because of the caffeine factor. Right. So the Red Dream, we feel like is, hey, I can't have caffeine, so let's give you kind of this subpar experience. Because it's kind of you can't have it. This is the best we can do. And it's never very good. The Red Dream is honestly so good. On its own, it's a phenomenal drink. So it's made from rooibos red tea, which comes from South Africa. Rooibos meaning red bush, right? So it's got a really nice, naturally sweet, kind of earthy flavor. And so we blend it like any other latte. We use some vanilla syrup, and it is just amazing. And so for people like Don and others who can have caffeine, we really feel like, hey, this is on par with any other espresso or latte experience. Like you're going to have a really, really good drink, and that caffeine free is not going to, be like, oh, you kind of have to like sacrifice taste or whatever. So,
have the water.
Yeah.
This is, also too, I'm always a caffeine dude no matter what, but I didn't know. I really went crazy one day, and I had 2 the white flat whites.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what the heck was even in them at this point.
Right.
And I wasn't zinging, but I didn't realize I had basically 2 or 4, whatever the chemistry was. So this is also still, just the caffeine free rule is still good if you like pounded a lot. I can drink coffee all day.
It's the afternoon and you're like, you know what? I really want a coffee, but I don't want to sleep tonight too. This is the perfect choice. Yeah.
Well, this is delicious. You're freaking delicious. You've been
delicious.
You've been, this is awesome, man. And what we'll do is, it goes without saying, but I can't wait to have Rachel on and Michael, and they share their how you guys all came to be, and it's a great.
You guys are in for a treat.
Yeah, I can't wait. But if you don't know where this, like I said, we got the Yes Coffee. I'm going to tag the Facebook on there, which I already did. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I asked most of the guests that are here, if somebody ever, which is happening more, people are reaching out to me after the show, and like, yo, let me get in touch with them. This and that.
Yes.
Are you open?
Yes, so absolutely. You can get in touch with us. Our website is up, www.yescoffeeco.com. Okay. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We respond very quickly. 6th Street South, Monday through Saturday, 7 to 3. Come on in. Even if it's like 5 to 7, some of the sheriffs will come by because they're on their way to work, and they'll pick up stuff. So we're open for you. Don't you worry. If it's 5 after 3, come on in. Like, it's totally fine.
There's a secret knock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, knock twice. But yeah, reach out. We'd love to hear from you guys. And
don't have like coffee. Don't be, because I don't know. You don't have to know.
You like, please.
Grandes, lattes.
No. Like it is honestly, it's our joy to help you, to educate, and like, hey. Well, like, let's go on a journey together. Like, so we just love giving samples, like, because to us, it's like you leaving knowing what you like, what your drink is like our goal. Like, it's so satisfying. Like,
what you kicking on these days? You doing, are you just?
Well, okay, so my girlfriend was in town and she loves the iced vanilla latte. So I've been drinking a lot of those lately. So
is that what Camille got? Or
she got the snow cap. So, okay, Rachel and Mike invented this like literally like a week ago. It's phenomenal. So it's basically like half of an iced vanilla latte finished off with some frothed vanilla cream.
Okay.
And so we draw some mountains on it. So we got a picture of it on our Instagram. But
you guys are
Okay, I would like to say it's Rachel. Rachel is she's the artiste in
incredible.
In the group. Yeah, she does a phenomenal job.
And it sustains in a journey.
Yeah.
Because when Camille comes home, I still got I feel bad drinking it half the time because it looks so beautiful.
Yeah. So if you come in and Rachel's in there, get her to write your name, because she'll do it. She's like a letter artist, right? So if you get Mike and I, it's going to be like
that one's for him.
Yeah. Just slightly better than doctor writing, Yeah. This person. But yeah. So she'll write your name up right. And she'll draw all the mountains for you. But it'll be a good time.
I love it. Doug, we did it, bro.
We did it. Chenzo, thank you for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
Bam. Very welcome. Let's see. Oh, look, man. Lately, it's been great luck. Didn't get kicked off.